Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, this is Redberry Leo here, and welcome back to another Civil Air Patrol video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the deputy position, and this includes talking about the Cadet Deputy Commander, the Cadet Deputy Commander for Support, and the Cadet Deputy Commander for Operations. And so let's first talk about the difference between support and operations. The previous term that Civil Air Patrol used for the Cadet Deputy Commander for Support was Cadet Executive Officer. And since Civil Air Patrol is trying to mirror the current Air Force's terminology for a executive officer, it's now the Deputy for Support. And that role is primarily to ensure that the support staff is being trained, that they're actively being worked with between like their senior member counterpart and receiving mentorship and feedback in whatever area that they're working in. And these areas include like public affairs, the logistics team, maybe ES, like all of those functional areas are different areas that cadets can support with. So the deputy commander for operations, on the other hand, is primarily focused on the line side of the squadron. So mentoring the flight commanders is a major responsibility, in addition to ensuring that cadet activities are being conducted in accordance to the training standards that we are looking for. Being a deputy commander can be very challenging, whether you be doing the overall deputy commander for the unit, for operations, or for support. Whatever authority you are given is delegated by the cadet commander. So the cadet commander has the final decision and responsibility for how the actions are carried out within the cadet program, aside from like the deputy commander, like for cadets in the squadron. They make sure that the cadets are getting what they need to done. But like as the cadet commander, it's their responsibility to brief the CDC and complete all of the training with their assigned staff members. So as a deputy, it can be a little bit ambiguous at times, and you may not necessarily have a really clear job description. And so one of the most important things you can do is when you first step into that deputy role, set up expectations with the cadet commander on what you will be involved with, what their expectations are, and how you would like to contribute back to the unit. If you do not have that kind of discussion, it can lead to challenges later down the road. Like if you are delegated to be in charge of operations, and like you are working with the flight commanders for planning out flight time. If the cadet commander thinks that they are going to be the one who is working with the flight commanders, then the flight commanders might receive two separate emails, one from the deputy commander for operations and one from the cadet commander. And if that were to happen, then that might create some confusion. So, like, being clear on what communications should be like for anything. Like, the cadet commander might want the deputy to CC them on all communications, which I think is a fair thing to have an expectation for, unless it's, like, specifically one-on-one mentorship that the deputy commander for operations, or the cadet deputy commander for operations has been asked to do. Most times it's going to include the cadet commander and the CDC on all comms. And that just ensures transparency between the team members and that everyone feels like they're on the same page. If the cadet deputy commander is expected to CC the CDC and the cadet commander, then they should also be able to expect that the cadet commander and the CDC will include them on necessary communications. So there might be like a command team meeting where the cadet commander, the CDC, the CDS, and the squadron commander are all meeting together. They may not necessarily want the deputy on there, but your insight would likely be helpful and useful. So you could always suggest to the cadet commander, if they're having the command team meeting, say, hey, here are a few areas that I recommend we discuss in that meeting. If you'd like me on that meeting, then I'd be more than happy to discuss it, but since you're the cadet commander, please let me know if you'd like my assistance, or if you feel like you are ready to go on your own. So my deputy experience is both at the unit level and at an encampment level. So when I was at encampment, I served as the deputy commander for a group level, and it was a very good experience. The CDC, the commandant of cadets there, was very experienced. He provided a great deal of mentorship. I became close friends with the cadet commander that year, and we worked actively to ensure that the encampment commander's expectations were being met, in addition to transparently communicating with the cadet staff. There were a few challenges that year when we were planning things out, like there was a little bit of a miscommunication on what intensity is and proper intensity tools, which we fixed the following year. Given that we did not set clear expectations on intensity, it did impact the first day operations that year, but then the following year, we provided like this intensity toolbox to members and tried to fix it so that they understood like what kind of things they can do to increase or decrease intensity and when to know appropriately when you should apply intensity and when it's not as appropriate. But going back to the challenges of being a deputy, there were times where I was like, I wish I could make a decision here for the team. And it wasn't my call to make. I could make recommendations and I would say, hey, sir, I would like to suggest that we do this. And then the cadet commander would be like, that understood. Thank you for sharing your input. Sometimes it was taken, sometimes it wasn't. And if a recommendation you make is not completed, don't take it personally. The cadet commander has a different perspective from you, and they may have more information than you have available, just because they might have more visibility from insights from the commander and the CDC. So there could be a reason why they are making a decision different from the suggestion that you had provided. It's also possible that the cadet commander didn't necessarily understand the recommendation, and my "but one sir" philosophy is brought back here, or your "one but ma'am," and if you say, "But sir, I do recommend this," and they still don't take it, don't fight your cadet commander on it. As a command team, you need to be on the same page. And I don't really like to say the word need, but in this instance, there should be a unified front to subordinates. So if, as a deputy, you are frustrated with the decisions of the command team or the cadet commander, that should not be publicly visible. So a flight commander you are friends with really doesn't need to hear your frustrations about the cadet commander, because that could eventually turn into gossip and potentially create a toxic work environment for everyone. So if you do have something that you would like to discuss with someone, like you need to vent in a safe place, like a safe manner. So if you have a senior member mentor, have that senior member mentor and another person present for like rule of 3, just to make sure that you can have an open discussion about what your concerns are. So like if there is a safety concern, then you should say something and say like knock it off and try to adjust things from there. And it's okay to disagree with the cadet commander. You don't have to agree with the cadet commander 100% of the time, but when someone asks you about a command decision, you have to be in support of it and like share the information that the cadet commander wants you to share. So let's say, for example, the cadet commander has decided that they just want to pick cadets from the unit instead of running some kind of cadet staff selection process for the next term. You are staying in your position, the cadet commander is staying in their position, but everyone else is switching. You could recommend, hey, cadet commander, I recommend that we do a cadet staff selection exercise. And then the cadet commander might be like, I don't care. I want my best friend to be the first sergeant. In that instance, it might be good to have a discussion with the CDC and have a transparent discussion between the cadet commander, the CDC, and yourself, conveying some of your concerns like potential favoritism and bias. That is something that really should be avoided. Try to make it as evenly fair as possible for all individuals, because it should be equal opportunities, and it shouldn't just be like, I know this person already, so I'm going to pick them to do this. So, as CAP members, we want to be fair, and by having a cadet staff selection process, like let's say having activities that evaluate different traits to fairly grade the applicants as unbiasedly as possible, that's a pretty good process versus just hand-picking people to go into each position. And it's possible that you don't necessarily have enough people in the unit to fill all of the positions, or experienced people to fill the positions, but at least give everyone a shot to raise their hand and say, this is something that I'm interested in. Because by giving people the opportunity and like the knowledge that, hey, this position is available, here are the responsibilities for it, then they can make the decision on if they would like to apply themselves to it or not, instead of you making that decision for them with the command team. So that was everything that I wanted to discuss for this video. There are a few other things I could go into depth on. Like, it is a bit different doing a deputy position between a unit and an encampment, but generally speaking, the deputy position is one of the most difficult ones you can serve in, because it challenges you to be recommending things to the cadet commander, in addition to stretching your skills and mentoring quite a few people. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that is all, folks. Until next time, toodles.